Story 1. I work as a forest ranger for the county, so I take fire safety pretty seriously. During the summer months, I'm constantly monitoring weather conditions and fire risks. When we have long dry spells like we did last August, every little spark becomes a potential disaster. The county had issued a complete fire ban for 3 weeks due to drought conditions and high winds. This meant no outdoor fires at all, no campfires, fire pits, burning yard waste, nothing. We had signs posted everywhere and sent out emergency alerts to everyone's phones. The local news was covering it daily because we'd already had 2 small brush fires that week. I live in a suburban area that backs up to state forest land. Most of my neighbors understand the fire risks since we're so close to the woods. We've all seen what can happen when fires get out of control, and nobody wants to be responsible for starting something that could spread. That's why I was shocked when I came home from work last Friday evening and saw a massive bonfire burning in my neighbor's backyard. I'm talking about a fire at least 4 feet tall with flames reaching even higher when the wind caught them. She had dragged out lawn chairs and was sitting around it like it was a normal summer evening. I immediately went over to talk to her. Me, you need to put that fire out right now. We're under a complete fire ban. Karen, it's fine. I'm being careful. Me, it doesn't matter how careful you're being. All outdoor fires are banned right now. The conditions are too dangerous. Karen, oh please, it's just a little fire. I've done this 100 times before. Me, the county issued emergency alerts about this. You should have gotten them on your phone. Karen, I don't pay attention to those things. They send too many notifications. I couldn't believe she was being so casual about it. Me, you're risking starting a wildfire. Look at those flames, they're huge, and the wind keeps picking up. Karen, you're overreacting. Nothing's going to happen. Me, I work for the Forest Service. I'm telling you this is dangerous and illegal right now. Karen, well, I'm not putting it out. I planned this evening all week. At that point, I realized she wasn't going to listen to reason. I went back to my house and called the fire department non-emergency line to report an illegal fire during the ban. The fire truck arrived about 10 minutes later with 3 firefighters. I watched from my window as they went into her backyard. Even from inside my house, I could hear her getting loud with them. One of the firefighters came to my door afterwards. Firefighter, thanks for calling this in. That was definitely not a legal fire right now. Me, did she put it out? Firefighter, eventually. She argued with us for 15 minutes first. Kept saying it was just a small fire and we were making a big deal out of nothing. Me, what happens now? Firefighter, we have to write up a violation report. Fire ban violations carry pretty hefty fines. The next morning, my neighbor was at my door looking furious. Karen, you called the fire department on me? Are you kidding? Me, you were violating the fire ban. I tried to talk to you first. Karen, it was barely even a fire. I told them it was just like having big candles outside. Me, that was not candles. That was a bonfire during a county emergency fire ban. Karen, now I have to pay some ridiculous fine because you couldn't mind your own business. Me, how much is the fine? Karen, $3,000 for a tiny little fire. I actually felt a little sorry for her at that point. $3,000 is a lot of money. Me, maybe you can appeal it or work out a payment plan. Karen, I shouldn't have to pay anything. This is completely unfair. She stormed off, and I didn't see her for about a week. When I did run into her at the grocery store, she acted like I didn't exist. I found out later from another neighbor that she had tried to fight the fine by claiming it really was just large candles arranged in a fire pit. Apparently she even brought photos to court showing regular candles, trying to prove her point. Neighbor, the judge wasn't buying it. The fire department had taken their own photos of the actual bonfire when they responded. The fine stood at the full $3,000. She also had to attend a fire safety class as part of her penalty. About a month later, the fire ban was finally lifted after we got some decent rainfall. That same weekend, I noticed she had set up a small fire pit in her yard again. This time, though, it was a reasonable size, and she was clearly being much more careful about it. I guess $3,000 was enough to teach her that fire bans exist for good reasons. When you live this close to forestland, one careless fire can destroy hundreds of acres and put lives at risk. The county doesn't mess around with fire safety, and apparently neither do the courts. She still won't talk to me, but at least she follows the fire restrictions now. Sometimes people need expensive lessons to understand that safety rules aren't just suggestions. Story 2. I've been working at the Sunset Cinema for 3 years now. Started part-time during college to help pay for textbooks, and somehow ended up staying after graduation while I figure out my next move. It's not glamorous work cleaning theaters, refilling popcorn machines, dealing with sticky floors, and the occasional drunk customer. But the free movies and decent coworkers make it bearable. Last Friday was supposed to be a quiet night. We had the new superhero movie playing in our biggest theater, and it was the 9 p.m. showing. I was working the concession stand when this woman walked in. She looked like she was in her 40s, wearing an expensive-looking coat and carrying a designer purse. Right away, I could tell she was the type who thought the world revolved around her. She marched up to my counter and slammed her phone down. "Karen, I want a refund for this movie." Me, "I'm sorry, but did you already watch it? We usually don't give refunds after the show starts." Karen, "No, I haven't watched it yet. But I read spoilers online and I already know the ending is garbage. I want my money back now." I blinked at her, not sure I heard right. Me, "Ma'am, if you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe you should give it a chance. Sometimes the journey matters more than the destination." Karen, "Don't tell me what to do. I've been going to movies longer than you've been alive. This is terrible customer service." My manager wasn't around, so I explained that I couldn't process refunds without approval. She got even angrier and demanded to speak to someone in charge. When I told her the manager wouldn't be back for an hour, she stormed off toward the theater entrance. Me, "Ma'am, you still need a ticket to go in there." She just waved me off and kept walking. I called my coworker from the back to watch the counter while I followed her. The movie had already started about 20 minutes ago. The theater was pretty packed, maybe 60 or 70 people scattered throughout. I watched her march down the aisle and plop herself in a middle seat, right in the center section where she'd disturbed the most people. At first, she just sat there muttering to herself. I could hear complaints about the acting, the special effects, the plot. Other moviegoers started shushing her, but she ignored them. Then about an hour in, during what I knew was supposed to be a really emotional scene, she completely lost it. "Karen, this is such garbage. Why am I wasting my time with this trash?" The people around her turned to stare. A few people told her to be quiet. Random guy, "Hey lady, some of us are trying to watch the movie." Karen, "Well, you're all wasting your time because the main character dies at the end anyway, and his girlfriend leaves him for his best friend. The whole city gets destroyed and everyone's miserable." The entire theater erupted. People started yelling at her to shut up. Parents covered their kids' ears. I could see people pulling out their phones, probably to record what was happening. Woman with kids, are you serious right now? You just ruined the whole movie for everyone. Karen, good. No one deserves a happy ending in this trash anyway. You should all thank me for saving you 2 hours of your lives. That's when I knew I had to act. I walked down the aisle toward her. Me, "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the theater immediately." Karen, "You can't kick me out. I paid for my ticket just like everyone else." Me, "Actually, you didn't pay for a ticket. You walked in here without buying one, and now you're disturbing other customers who did pay." She stood up and got right in my face. Karen, "I want to speak to your manager right now. This is discrimination. I'm going to sue this place." The whole theater was watching us now. Some people were still yelling at her. Others were asking for refunds since their movie experience was ruined. Me, "The manager isn't here, but I'm calling security and the police. You need to leave now." Karen, fine. This movie sucks anyway. The villain wins, the hero's mother dies in a car crash, and the post-credits scene sets up a sequel that nobody asked for. Even more people groaned and started shouting. She was spoiling every single plot point she could remember from whatever review she'd read online. Security showed up about 5 minutes later, 2 guys who work for the shopping center where our theater is located. By then, she was standing in the aisle yelling about how terrible modern movies were and how everyone in the theater had bad taste. Security guard, "Ma'am, you need to come with us." Karen, "I'm not going anywhere. I have rights." Security guard, "You have the right to leave voluntarily or be escorted out. Your choice." She finally left, but not before shouting a few more spoilers on her way out. The damage was done though. Half the theater got up and left to demand refunds. The other half stayed, but the mood was completely ruined. When my manager came back, I explained everything. We had to give refunds to about 30 people, which cost the theater hundreds of dollars. Worse, people were already posting about it on social media and leaving bad reviews online. The next day, my manager called me into the office. I thought I was in trouble, but it turned out several customers had specifically praised how I handled the situation. Even better, our corporate office had reviewed the security footage and decided to ban that woman from all their theater locations nationwide. Manager, she's officially trespassed from every theater in our chain. If she shows up here again, we call the police immediately. 2 weeks later, she tried to buy tickets online for a different movie. Our system flagged her credit card and blocked the purchase automatically. She called our customer service line screaming about it, but they just referred her to the legal department. I heard through a friend who works at the theater across town that she tried to sneak into a movie there too. They recognized her from the description we'd circulated and kicked her out before she even made it to the concession stand. The best part? That superhero movie turned out to be really good. I watched it during my break the next week, and none of the spoilers she yelled were even accurate. She'd apparently read some fake review online and believed every word of it. The real ending was completely different and actually pretty satisfying. Sometimes I wonder if she ever figured out she was wrong about the plot. Probably not. People like that never admit when they make mistakes. But at least she can't ruin anyone else's movie experience at our theater. And honestly, seeing her get exactly what she deserved made all the drama worth it. Story 3. I moved to Meadowbrook 6 years ago when I got promoted to regional manager at my company. The neighborhood was perfect for my family, good schools, diverse community, and reasonable homeowners association fees. My wife and I have 2 teenage kids, and we've always enjoyed celebrating different holidays throughout the year. We put up Halloween decorations, Christmas lights, and even some decorations for Diwali since our neighbors taught us about the Festival of Lights. I got elected to the Homeowners Association board 3 years ago because I wanted to help keep our community running smoothly. The board had 5 members, and we met monthly to discuss maintenance issues, budget planning, and resident concerns. Everyone got along well until Karen joined the board last January. Karen was in her 50s, always dressed professionally, and carried herself like she owned the place. She'd moved here from some gated community across town and immediately started talking about upgrading our standards. Her husband seemed nice enough, but he rarely spoke when she was around. The problem started in October. Our neighborhood has always been welcoming to different traditions, so you'd see Halloween jack-o'-lanterns next to homes with autumn harvest displays, and nobody minded. But Karen had different ideas. At our October board meeting, she brought up what she called inappropriate seasonal displays. Karen, I think we need to establish guidelines for holiday decorations. Some of the displays I'm seeing don't reflect our community values. Board member, what do you mean? The Halloween decorations look normal to me. Karen, I'm talking about the non-traditional displays. We should focus on decorations that represent American values. Me, Halloween is pretty traditional in America, Karen. Karen, I'm talking about the bigger picture. December is coming, and I think we need to be proactive about maintaining appropriate standards. I had a bad feeling about where this was heading on it, but I figured we'd cross that bridge when we came to it. In November, our neighbors started putting up their holiday decorations. The Johnsons put up beautiful Christmas lights shaped like stars and angels. The Patel family hung colorful lights for Diwali. The Goldsteins had elegant blue and white lights for Hanukkah. The Martinez family put up both Christmas and Three Kings Day decorations. It looked festive and welcoming. Then the emails started. Karen began sending daily messages to the entire board with photos attached. Her first email had the subject line, "Urgent, Inappropriate Holiday Displays Violation." The email read, "Board members, I am documenting serious violations of community standards." The attached photos show non-Christmas decorations that are offensive to the majority of residents who celebrate traditional American holidays. We need immediate action to preserve the character of our neighborhood. The photos were of the Patel family's Diwali lights and the Goldsteins' menorah display. Board member, did anyone else get Karen's email about the holiday lights? Me. Yeah, I'm not sure what she wants us to do about it. There's nothing in our rules against different holiday decorations. Board member, she sent me 3 more emails yesterday calling it a war on Christmas. The emails kept escalating. Karen started CCing other residents on her messages, trying to build support for what she called the Christmas Light Protection Initiative. Her emails got more intense. One subject line read, "Emergency, Anti-Christian Agenda Threatening Our Community Values." Karen, fellow board members and concerned residents, I am shocked by the blatant disregard for our Christian heritage being displayed in our neighborhood. These non-Christmas decorations are a direct attack on the values that built this community. We must take action immediately to ban all holiday displays that do not celebrate Christmas. This is about preserving our American way of life. I called an emergency board meeting. Karen showed up with a thick folder and a PowerPoint presentation. Karen, I've prepared a comprehensive proposal for new decoration guidelines. We need to restrict holiday displays to traditional Christmas themes only. Board member, Karen, we can't discriminate against residents based on their religious beliefs. Karen, this isn't discrimination. This is about maintaining community standards and respecting the majority. Me, actually, it is discrimination. We have residents who celebrate different holidays, and they have the right to display their decorations. Karen, Christmas is an American tradition. These other displays are divisive and inappropriate. Board member, my family celebrates Hanukkah. Are you saying my decorations are inappropriate? Karen, I'm saying we need to prioritize the traditions that built this country. Me, religious freedom built this country. We're not banning anyone's holiday decorations. Karen, then you're all participating in the war on Christmas. She stormed out of the meeting, taking her presentation with her. The next day, Karen sent an email to every resident in the neighborhood. The subject line was, "Board Supports Anti-Christmas Agenda." In the email, she claimed the board was actively suppressing Christian values and promoting anti-American sentiment. She encouraged residents to attend the next board meeting to take back our community. The December board meeting was packed. About 30 residents showed up, which was unusual. Karen sat in the front row with her folder of materials. President, we're here to address concerns about holiday decoration policies. Karen stood up immediately. Karen, I demand this board implement policies that protect Christmas displays from being overshadowed by non-Christian decorations that offend our community values. Patel family father, are you saying our Diwali lights offend you? Karen, I'm saying they don't belong in a community that values traditional American holidays. Goldstein family mother, we've lived here for 8 years. Our Hanukkah decorations have never been a problem before. Karen, things change. Standards need to be maintained. Martinez family father, my family celebrates both Christmas and Three Kings Day. Which one are you trying to ban? Karen, I'm trying to protect Christmas from being diluted by foreign influences." The room erupted. Residents started talking over each other, defending their neighbors and criticizing Karen's proposal. "President, everyone please calm down. We need to address this systematically." "Me, Karen, your emails to residents contained false information about the board's position. We never supported any restrictions on holiday decorations." "Karen, you refuse to protect Christmas. That's the same as attacking it." Board member, "Karen, you're discriminating against residents based on their religion. That's not what this community stands for." "Karen, I'm standing up for American values while you're all caving to political correctness." "President, we need to take a formal vote. All in favor of maintaining our current policy, allowing all residents to display holiday decorations of their choice." 4 hands went up immediately. Karen sat with her arms crossed. "President, the motion passes 4-1. Karen, this is a disgrace. You're all betraying everything this community was built on." "Me, Karen, your behavior has been divisive and discriminatory. I think you should consider whether serving on this board is right for you." "Karen, are you trying to force me off the board?" Board member, "Actually, let's vote on that too." I motion to remove Karen from the board for conduct unbecoming a community representative. President, all in favor. 4 hands went up again. "Karen, you can't do this to me. I'll fight this decision." President, the vote is unanimous. Please turn in your board materials. Karen gathered her things and stormed out, shouting about lawsuits and discrimination against Christians. 2 weeks later, I saw a "for sale" sign on Karen's lawn. Her husband came over while I was checking my mail. "Husband, I wanted to apologize for everything that happened." Karen gets very passionate about her beliefs. "Me, no need to apologize. We're sorry to see you go." Husband, "Honestly, I'm looking forward to a fresh start somewhere quieter. This December, our neighborhood looks more beautiful than ever. Every house has their own style of holiday decorations, and the whole street glows with different colors and traditions." The new board member we elected is the Patel family's daughter, who just graduated college with a degree in community planning. Sometimes I walk through the neighborhood in the evenings just to enjoy how welcoming and diverse our community looks. That's what the holiday season should really be about. Story 4. I've been a conductor on the Metro North Line for 6 years now. Started this job right after college when I couldn't find work in my field. The pay is decent, benefits are good, and I genuinely like helping people get where they need to go. Most passengers are pretty reasonable, they know the schedule, follow the rules, and understand that trains have to stick to their routes. But every once in a while, you get someone who thinks the entire transit system should revolve around them. It was a Wednesday evening around 7 p.m., and we were running the express train from downtown to the suburbs. This particular route only stops at 5 stations along a 30-mile stretch, skipping the smaller stops to save time during rush hour. It's clearly marked as express service, announced multiple times, and posted on every schedule. We just pulled away from Riverside Station when I heard shouting from the middle car. I was doing my usual walk-through, checking tickets and helping passengers, when I saw her marching down the aisle toward me. Middle-aged woman in an expensive business suit, face red with anger, waving her ticket around like a weapon. "Karen, excuse me, you need to stop this train immediately." Me, "Is there an emergency, ma'am?" Karen, "Yes, there's an emergency. I missed my stop. You drove right past Millfield without stopping, and I need to get off there." I looked at her ticket. Sure enough, it was for Millfield Station. Me, "Ma'am, this is the express train. We don't stop at Millfield. You needed to take the local train for that stop." Karen, "I don't care what kind of train this is. I paid for a ticket and I need to get off at my stop." Me, "I understand your frustration, but express trains skip certain stations. That's why they're called express. The next stop is Oakwood, about 8 miles ahead." Karen, 8 miles? That's ridiculous. I'm not riding 8 miles past where I need to be. Me, from Oakwood. You can catch the next local train back to Millfield. It runs every 20 minutes. Karen, I don't have time for that nonsense. I demand you stop this train right now and let me off. Other passengers were starting to stare. A businessman reading a newspaper looked up with annoyance. An elderly couple shook their heads in disbelief. Me, ma'am, I cannot stop an express train between stations. It's against regulations and potentially dangerous. Karen, then get the engineer on the radio and tell him to stop. Me, that's not how trains work. We follow a strict schedule, and stopping between stations would delay hundreds of other passengers. Karen, I don't care about other passengers. I care about getting to my destination. She stormed off toward the front of the car, muttering about incompetent train staff and how she was going to file complaints. I thought that was the end of it, but I was wrong. About 2 minutes later, I heard the screech of brakes as the entire train suddenly lurched to a halt. Emergency lights started flashing, and an alarm began blaring. My radio crackled to life. Engineer, we've got an emergency brake activation in car 3. What's your status back there? I rushed toward the front of the car and found Karen standing next to the emergency brake handle, which was clearly pulled. Me, ma'am, did you pull that emergency brake? Karen, yes, I did. Now stop the train and let me off. The other passengers erupted in angry voices. Businessman, are you insane? You can't just stop a train. Elderly woman, that's illegal. You could have hurt someone. College student, I'm going to be late for work because of you. Me into radio, car 3 conductor to engineer. We have a passenger who illegally activated the emergency brake. Need transit police at the next station. Karen, I'm not waiting for the next station. Open the doors right now. Me, ma'am, pulling that emergency brake was a federal crime. You're looking at serious fines and possible jail time. Karen, I don't care. I needed to get off at my stop and you people refused to help me. The engineer got the train moving again after a 10-minute delay. Karen spent the entire time arguing with me, demanding I open the doors and threatening to sue the transit authority. Other passengers kept telling her to shut up and sit down. When we reached Oakwood Station, transit police were waiting on the platform. I explained what happened while Karen continued her rant about customer service and her rights as a paying passenger. Transit officer, ma'am, you're under arrest for interfering with public transportation and misuse of emergency equipment. Karen, you can't arrest me. I just wanted to get off the train. Transit officer, you endangered every passenger on this train and caused major delays throughout the system. They handcuffed her and escorted her off the train. Through the window, I could see her still yelling at the officers as they walked her away. The delay caused a ripple effect that lasted 2 hours. Multiple trains had to adjust their schedules, hundreds of passengers were late, and the transit authority estimated thousands of dollars in lost revenue. I found out later that Karen was fined $2,500 for the emergency brake violation and faced additional charges for disrupting public transportation. Her lawyer apparently tried to argue that the transit system should have better signage about express versus local trains. The judge wasn't impressed. Story 5. I've been working at this accounting firm for about 3 years now. It's a decent job, nothing fancy, but it pays the bills and my coworkers are mostly nice people. Well, most of them anyway. I should probably explain my situation first. I have fibromyalgia, which is an invisible disability that causes chronic pain and fatigue. Some days are better than others, but on bad days, even simple tasks can be exhausting. My doctor recommended I take short breaks throughout the day to help manage my symptoms, and my manager was really understanding about it. Human Resources documented everything properly, and I have all the accommodations I need under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The thing about invisible disabilities is that people can't see them. I don't use a wheelchair or crutches, so I look perfectly healthy from the outside. Most days I can hide the pain pretty well because I've gotten good at it over the years. But apparently, that was a problem for one particular coworker. Karen had been with the company for about 5 years, and thought that gave her some kind of authority over everyone else. She was the type of person who always had something to say about everything, and it was rarely pleasant. I tried to stay out of her way, but our desks were in the same area, so avoiding her completely wasn't possible. It started small. I'd get up to take one of my prescribed breaks, and I'd catch her rolling her eyes or making faces. Then she started making little comments under her breath. "Karen, some people have it so easy around here." I ignored it at first, hoping she'd get bored and move on to bothering someone else. But Karen wasn't the type to let things go. The comments got louder and more frequent. Whenever I'd get up to stretch or take a short walk around the building, she'd make sure everyone could hear her. "Karen, must be nice to get paid vacation time every hour." "Karen, I wish I could just walk around whenever I felt like it." "Karen, some people really know how to work the system." My other coworkers started noticing. A few of them knew about my condition because I'd mentioned it in casual conversation, but others didn't. I could see them looking confused, probably wondering what Karen was talking about. One day, about 2 months ago, things came to a head. I was having a particularly rough morning. The pain was worse than usual, and I was feeling pretty exhausted, even though the day had just started. I decided to take a quick break and went to the break room to sit down for a few minutes. Karen followed me. "Karen, I've been watching you for months now." "Me, excuse me?" "Karen, all these little breaks you take. Walking around, sitting in here doing nothing. Do you think we're all stupid?" "Me, I don't know what you're talking about." "Karen, oh please. You're obviously faking whatever this is. You look perfectly fine to me. I've seen you carry heavy boxes. I've seen you run to catch the elevator. But somehow you need special treatment." "Me, I have a medical condition that's been documented with human resources. My breaks are approved accommodations." "Karen, right, your mysterious condition that nobody can see. How convenient. You know what I think? I think you're just lazy and found a way to get out of doing real work." She was getting louder, and I could see other people in the hallway starting to look our way. I felt my face getting hot with embarrassment and anger. "Karen, people like you make me sick. Taking advantage of real disabilities to slack off. There are people out there with actual problems, and you're here pretending to be sick for attention." "Me, you don't know anything about my medical situation." "Karen, I know enough. I know you're a faker and a liar, and I'm tired of watching you get special treatment while the rest of us do actual work." That's when our supervisor walked by and heard the commotion. "Supervisor, is everything okay here?" "Karen, I was just pointing out that some people around here seem to think they deserve special privileges." "Me? She's been harassing me about my medical accommodations." "Supervisor, Karen, can I see you in my office, please?" "Karen, this is ridiculous. I'm just saying what everyone else is thinking." The supervisor looked uncomfortable and glanced at me apologetically before leading Karen away. I sat there shaking, partly from anger and partly because confrontation always makes my symptoms worse. I knew I had to report this officially. It wasn't the first time Karen had made comments, and I was tired of feeling uncomfortable at my own workplace. I went straight to Human Resources and filed a formal complaint. The Human Resources representative was very professional and took detailed notes of everything. They said they'd investigate thoroughly and get back to me within a week. Human Resources representative, we take these matters very seriously. No employee should feel harassed or discriminated against because of their medical conditions. True to their word, Human Resources completed their investigation within 5 business days. They interviewed several coworkers who had witnessed Karen's behavior, and apparently, she didn't deny making the comments when they confronted her about it. Karen was called into a meeting with Human Resources and our supervisor. From what I heard through the grapevine, she was given 2 choices: complete mandatory sensitivity training about disabilities and workplace harassment, or be terminated immediately. I thought that would be the end of it. The training seemed like a reasonable solution, and maybe Karen would finally understand why her behavior was wrong. But Karen had other plans. The next morning, I came into work to find out that Karen had quit. She'd sent an email to our supervisor late the night before, saying she refused to be forced into ridiculous training for telling the truth. I figured that was that. Problem solved, right? Wrong. About a week later, one of my coworkers showed me Karen's Facebook post. She'd written this long rant about how she'd been forced out of her job for speaking up about workplace fraud. She claimed I was faking my disability to get special treatment and that the company was too scared of lawsuits to do anything about it. Karen's Facebook post: "Can't believe I lost my job for telling the truth about a coworker who's obviously faking a disability for attention. This company would rather protect lazy employees than hardworking ones. So disappointed in how backwards everything is these days." I was mortified. Even though she didn't use my name, anyone who knew us both could figure out who she was talking about. I worried that people would believe her version of events. But here's where the story gets satisfying. The comments on her post were not what she was expecting. Instead of sympathy and support, person after person called her out. One comment: "This sounds like workplace harassment. Maybe you should have minded your own business." Another comment: "You do realize invisible disabilities are real, right? Just because you can't see something doesn't mean it's not there." Someone else wrote, "I can't believe you're publicly complaining about getting in trouble for making fun of someone's medical condition. That's awful." Even her own family members were disagreeing with her in the comments. Her sister wrote, "I'm disappointed in you. This isn't the person I thought you were." Her mother commented, "You need to think about how your words affect other people before you speak." The post kept getting more negative responses throughout the day. People were sharing articles about invisible disabilities, explaining why her behavior was wrong, and generally not giving her the validation she was looking for. By the end of the week, Karen had deleted the post entirely, but screenshots had already been taken and shared, so the damage to her reputation was done. A few months later, I heard through mutual acquaintances that Karen was having trouble finding new employment. Apparently, word had gotten around in our industry about why she'd left her previous job. Our field is smaller than people think, and hiring managers talk to each other. Meanwhile, I'm still working at the same company. My accommodations continue to be respected, and my coworkers are more supportive than ever. Several of them apologized for not speaking up sooner when they witnessed Karen's behavior. The whole experience taught me the importance of advocating for myself and not just hoping problems will go away on their own. It also showed me that most people are decent and understanding when they know the facts. Karen thought she could bully me into giving up my legitimate accommodations, but instead she ended up destroying her own career and reputation. Sometimes the best revenge is just letting entitled people face the natural consequences of their actions.